an Argentine winemaker in the lands of Moctezuma. Touring the San Luis Potosí region in Mexico, I came across a Malbec wine that surprised me. Malbec is the distinctive wine of Argentina, recognized and awarded worldwide. But the Malbec I had just tried was of local origin and very good. So I went to the town of Moctezuma and Cava Quintanilla to discover its origins. The engineer Hugo Cuevas was waiting for me there and recounted the beginnings of the vineyard and the Quintanilla Cava, owned by Carlos and Linda Quintanilla.
Hello, my name is Hugo Cuevas, and I am an engineer here at Cava Quintanilla. In 1984, I met Carlos Quintanilla, the owner of this land. Carlos bought this land around 1979, but he arrived here in 1975. The Quintanilla family comes from the south of Mexico, and they are the original owners of this property. Throughout my whole time working here, we have been dedicated to cultivating tomatoes, spices, and much more. Lately, in the past 14 years, we have been working on cultivating and protecting the plants. In 2011 came the first plants from the vine, and we wanted to see how this would continue. So we brought more plants, and we brought grapes from Mesa, Peru, which are really famous over there, and much more. But we also found out that all these grapes, with the right timing and the right weather, that the grapes come out really extravagant with the color, the aroma, and the taste. And that reflects a lot on the wine.
Everything was very good, but I still did not know where the Malbec with the name of Laberinto, labyrinth, came from. So Hugo continued explaining the origin of the name Labyrinth, while we walked through the gardens of the property and walked a maze of stones beautifully traced on the intense green grass among flowers of various colors and fragrances.
This is a labyrinth of an energetic and cosmetic connection. The people who walk in it experience a time of self-reflection and interesting meditations. We recommend walking this barefoot. People who come with Miss Linda, Carlos's wife, believe and cultivate spiritual sensations and transfer that into energy, and that is why they built this labyrinth. We also now have a wine called the Labyrinth for this reason.
At that moment, we were joined by Fabricio Hernandez, the winemaker of La Cava. A winemaker is the expert person in charge of transforming grapes into wine. And the mystery of the Malbec gradually revealed itself, since Fabricio is a native of Mendoza, the most important wine region in Argentina.
My name is Fabricio Hernandez. I am from the city of Mendoza in Argentina, and I am also the enologist here in Cava Quintanilla. Well, me coming here is a long story. I came here because of a friend of mine who found out that they needed an enologist here in Mexico. And so I came and I fell in love with the place and I decided to stay.
How many years has it been since you got here?
I've been here in Mexico for 5 years now, and soon it will be my fifth year working here in Cava Quintanilla. I find this place to be home, and in fact, it is my home.
While we had breakfast with an aromatic coffee, fresh fruits, natural juices, and banana pudding, Fabricio told how he started as a winemaker.
Like I've said before, I've been in Argentina for 6 months, coming back and forth. I come back to Mexico during the times of when the grapes are blossoming and during the wine season. I also go to Argentina because down there I have my own wine shop that I share with my wife, and the name is Wines of Sins. We make about 50,000 bottles and we distributed them with 6 different countries, which is also what motivates me to come and go. Now that I am older, I find it more boring and tiring. Nothing like when I was younger, and I found it fun. But going back and forth all the time is draining, especially now that I am a father of a 1 year old. Sometimes I will come for 2 weeks or for a month, but it is not as fun anymore. I also have clothing here and clothing over there. I also lose things, and sometimes I won't find certain things that I need, or I end up forgetting them in Mendoza, which makes me end up buying stuff here.
Fabricio, tell us, how did you start producing wine when you finished studying?
Well, when I finished studying, I started working at a winery, and I had my doubts about winemaking, especially when I graduated because I wasn't sure if I would like my career or not. I did like my career, but what really scared me was going out and working in the field, mainly because I didn't know what I would find out and who I would who I would come across with. Eventually, after I graduated, I went and worked with my grandfather at his winery, and it is also where all my savings went towards that investment. But it was worth it because I like what I do, and luckily I sold the wine I'd made and was able to get the money once again to continue traveling with my friends. So what I did was I opened my own winery because I thought the industry and making it was easy, and I continued to grow my investments, and luckily that has led me to where I am today and by having my own winery on my own.
Not everything went well, though. Fabricio's arrival in Mexico was not without difficulties.
When I first came to Mexico, I came for 8 months as a vacation, also because I had a friend who lived in Toluca and the Tijuana. So when I first came, I only came with a backpack because I was much younger at the time, and because that's what everyone did back then when they traveled. And so, with the time I had, I decided to go and see the scenario of Mexico. So when I came back to Mexico, my luggage went missing. So I go to Toluca where my friend is, and they say that we had to go, and there was no time to look for my luggage. So we go and we get my luggage. Half of the things I brought were missing. Later during my travels, I go to Mexico City with a friend and his wife. And when I get there, I don't remember what happened, but I had a horrible time, especially since they tried to steal from me. All I thought was, wow, what's going on here in Mexico? But I stayed because I heard there was a job offer at a winery in San Luis. And so my plan was to stay for a month, but has now been 5 years, and now all I do is go back and forth.
So, when you first came here, what did you find?
When I first came here, I found one of the first wineries named Cosecha 2014, and another technician was doing another one in San Luis as well. I found lines from 2014 that I didn't have the quality the owner wanted, and then in 2015 I found the winery to be halfway done. There, I had never given my opinion. All I did was to make the wine, and that was it. One of the challenges we faced was making and organizing the wine because we didn't know the brand or the quality of the wines as well. We basically had nothing since there wasn't even a commercial or market. Then I went to Montezuma, and I noticed that for the people in Montezuma, winemaking is like a sport. All they do is work with the grapes and make the wine.
And so began the work of Fabricio to create high quality wines. But it all starts with the grape. So we went out to explore the vineyards in this special microclimate.
Here in Cava Quintanilla, we have 14 different types of wines. We have 3 whites and 11 reds. Our white ones are the popular ones right now, mainly because of the grapes we are growing. Right now, we are in the area where there is only grapes. This is known as our star zone because of the grapes and also because of the elements that help us grow our crops. The reds are popular as well, but not as much as the whites. But the red grapes are also growing really well. They are different in how they are cultivated. Right now, we are in the Malbec, and in a while, we can go inside the machinery. We are all happy right now because of how well the grapes are coming in. We also use some sort of elements as well to protect them from predators, such as birds, because that is our main problem. They come and try to eat the grapes, so we use harmless elements in order to keep them growing. Good area has a precipitation of 400 to 600. The more it rains, the harder it is for the grapes to cultivate and grow, which is why dry lands are better. Another good characteristic is that in the afternoon we get a nice breeze from the Gulf, and that helps when one is planting the seeds and the grapes as well.
From the wine fields, we went to the production plant, where we appreciated all the latest technology to create the Malbec that delighted my palate. Among the deafening noise of the machines, we learned the wine process.
Here we have a new machine that we recently got and we're putting it into use this year. With this machine we make the white wine, and with better technology you will have a better outcome.
So, in the best business style, we said goodbye to Fabricio and Cava Quintanilla. And yes, of course, I carried with me a bottle of Malbec Laberinto and another of sparkling wine. Cheers until the next time.